let's talk about me. In Cardiff, in Wales, where I was born, there was a music store. I remember seeing a Music Man bass in the window and thinking, what is that? Because I was only familiar with Fender basses. And I went and checked it out, and actually the guy who ran the store wouldn't let young musicians like me pick the instruments up. So I was always eager to try it out, but I never got the chance. So that was my first introduction, just seeing them in the window there. And then roll on a whole bunch of years till 1981, I think. I was in New York on a tour, my first tour of America with my good friend Jules Holland. I walked into Sam Ash Music Store and I saw this fretless Music Man bass up there on the wall. And it just looked so cool. So I asked the guy if I could try it, and he, unlike the guy in Cardiff, said, yeah, sure. So I plugged it in. You know, I hadn't really played much fretless before that, and that bass, I just immediately felt I could play it, you know, that my intonation felt pretty good on it, and it was fun to play, so I had to have the bass. I ran back to the hotel and got my tour manager with the band at the time. I said, I need $350, like now, which he wasn't very happy about. But he came up with it eventually, and I went back to the store and bought the bass. And I played it that night on the gig that we had. And since I bought that bass, that just really changed my career. I became known as a fretless bass player, and used that bass exclusively on nearly all the recordings I did from 81 through to, you know, 95, 96. I got a call to go and play some fretless bass on some Gary Newman songs, and he just wanted me to do my thing, which was fantastic. And at the time I was young and full of it, and so I played all over that record, and it became a calling card for me. It's a great record. It's called I Assassin. That was the first time I sort of found a voice for myself on the fretless bass. And then I came to the attention of a producer called Laurie Latham, who was producing some songs for Paul Young. And then I got to play on Paul's album, and again, the fretless was very high in the mix and featured in Paul's music as a foil to his voice in a way. So it was all about the voice and the bass reacting to it. And that led to all kinds of other sessions. When I got to play in the John Mayer Trio with Steve Jordan and John, I felt so at home there. I know that music really well and played a lot of it back home in Wales. Nine Inch Nails was an amazing tour to be involved in too. And again, Trent gave me a license to be myself in that music. So that was a really fun tour to do, yeah. Yeah, and then that little rock band, what are they, The Who, right? Wow, what a ride. Amazing. I got to play with The Who for 14 years, playing live with those guys and doing some recording too. The StingRay is a very punchy sounding instrument. It depends how you use the tone controls, actually. If you have the treble and the bass full on, it's got a kind of a scoop sound to it, which is great for funk and slap bass. But I found that when I wound the tone back to sort of half on the bass and half on the treble, it has sort of a punchy, more middly sound. And it just sounded unique as a fretless bass. The Music Man gave me something different. I think Music Man basses are very forgiving basses too. They make everything sound punchy and jump out of the track. I've been asked by quite a few people over the years, you know, if Music Man would consider making a signature version of my bass. It was a no-brainer for me. I was very excited. Everyone at Ernie Ball really took it seriously. You know, they couldn't have put more time and effort into making this thing as good as it could be. Nothing I could say would sort of put them off. They were happy to take it to whatever level they could to get the finished product. There was no particular thing, it was just a whole bunch of small things, which is what makes it special in the end. We tried different finishes on the neck, eventually went back to the varnish. And then things like the nut shape just didn't look cosmetically the same, so we worked on that a little bit too. And you know, the weight is very important too. The weight of these instruments is really nice. They're not super light and they're not at all heavy. They just balance really well. And the pickups too. Well, I think we just wound as much as we could onto the pickups. It's that sort of low-mid frequency that my bass has. It sort of sings around that frequency more than a typical Music Man bass. It's just little things. It's hard to remember now, but there were a lot of small tweaks. This, I like my sticker, which is on the signature bass, it's on the Relic bass. Well, the story on that is I'm from Wales and I'm a big rugby fan, grew up in the 70s, and a friend of mine just had this sticker and he said, if you call yourself a Welshman, put that sticker on your bass. So I did, and it's been on there since then. So that's just a little personal thing that I enjoy about this instrument. And then whenever I pick up, this is actually the Relic, so whenever I pick up the Relic, I really can't tell if it's the real one or not. It looks amazing and feels really good. This one I have here is the Relic, as I said. That's the evergreen bass, which is, it's a beautiful instrument too. It just doesn't have all this stuff on it, all the Relic stuff on it. Other than that, it's exactly the same. The pickups are the same, the neck is the same, the varnish is the same. The preamp, the pickup, sounds great. And then this is a fretted version. I always wanted a fretted Music Man bass with sunburst and a rosewood neck. And this is it, and it's a beauty. I'm very excited to start using that. With any instrument, you could have a particular instrument built for you and you don't know that it's going to be great until it's done. It's a real hit or miss situation. You could pick up 10 basses and only one of them would really feel good. You know, it's hard to tell, but I think we found a way of really being consistent with these instruments. I'm really honored. It's a big thing to have a signature bass. There's so many great players and musicians out there. To be honored in this way is wonderful. Yeah, it's fantastic.